Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about vitamin C, vitamin E, and other antioxidant supplements in your games. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this, because this is actually important, because people get this idea in the supplement industry, the vitamin industry, everyone else is trying to convince people that they need to take all these products. But the reality is much of that is not based upon science. And the vitamin industry started big scams generations ago to convince people that their food was nutrient deficient. So, I mean, this is the same sort of stuff that has been carried on into the current supplement industry. But the vitamin industry kicked itself off pretty effectively generations ago by telling people that their soil was depleted and therefore they weren't getting as many vitamins and minerals in their fruits and vegetables as people used to get centuries ago or thousands of years ago, and therefore they were deficient and they needed to take all these vitamins and multivitamins. I mean, total scam, total scam. And anyone who knows about agriculture and selective breeding of crops and everything knows exactly why that's bullshit. It's actually not true. It's easier in the modern world today to get more vitamins and minerals from your food than it ever has been in human history, because we breed superfoods now. But that's the whole idea that they tried to promote, and it worked. It worked to kick off a whole industry. Tons of people, millions and millions of people take vitamins and multivitamins for no actual reason. Well, the supplement industry does a lot of that too, and they try to get people to take all these things, and they'll always say things, well, you need these vitamin C and antioxidants and whatever, and people take them for no good reason, and it seems to be innocuous. They're fairly inexpensive most of the time, and it seems to be innocuous. You know, I mean, what harm is it going to cause to take some basic vitamins? Now, we know that multivitamins and metals and minerals in there, yeah, there's risk of overdose, but what's the harm in taking some extra vitamin C, right? I mean, you're just going to pee it out. You're just going to pee out the excess, so people say, hey, no big deal. But the reality is, yeah, it is a big deal, because we've done studies on this, and we have actually found that supplementing vitamin C and vitamin E can impact your response to training. And that's going to come as a shock to a lot of people. They're going to be like, what? Well, how can that be? This is something that's good. It's something your body needs. It's something you'll die without. You can develop deficiencies. But we're going to get into that in a minute, of how rare those deficiencies actually are. How rare they actually are. But we've got solid data at this point pointing out to the fact that vitamin C supplementation blunts training response. We have studies in rats originally, and I'm going to get to the human studies in a minute. We have studies in rats that showed that when they were given vitamin C supplementation, rats gained less muscle. When they were put on exercise programs, they gained less muscle, less strength, less endurance, everything. It extremely negatively affected them. And it kind of postulates the question. People would say, well, why? Why is that a problem? Well, it's because your body needs stress from training. The oxidative stress from training and the stress that training puts upon your body is what causes you to adapt to it. If it wasn't disruptive to the body in some way, your body wouldn't need to adapt. Right? You wouldn't get better at cardio. You would just burn a few calories and be done with it. Right? Your stamina wouldn't improve. Lifting weights, if your body didn't feel the need to make you stronger due to the disruption that the weight training causes to your body, it wouldn't bother to make you stronger or bigger. That stuff's metabolically expensive. That puts its hold on the body. There's no need to do that without a reason. Again, there's a reason you need to actually train decently hard in the gym to get results. Usually works a little better. Why? Because training, decently hard, not saying you have to go 100%, but training decently hard actually disrupts the body. It puts stress on it. It lets it know it needs to adapt, because it's going to get hurt if you keep doing this to it. It better make you stronger. It better thicken those muscle fibers up. It better improve your neural efficiency to lift that weight more correctly with a better bar path, so that you don't get hurt. You will get benefits from training hard, other than if you're just really, really lazy, you won't adapt as much. Pretty much observation most people have noted over the years. Most of us understand that at this point. Well, part of that is because, again, it disrupts homeostasis in your body. The antioxidants blunt some of that. They stave off some of the trauma and the damage. Therefore, it can blunt training response. So when we studied it in humans, we found that in endurance athletes, people who supplement vitamin C like 1,000 milligrams a day, they gain less endurance as a result of their training. Their endurance training doesn't give them the full effect as someone who's not supplementing it and just eating normal food to get their vitamin C. When we finally studied it in humans, we have one study, and it was only 10 weeks. It was a short-term study. They didn't gain less muscle. Hypertrophy was pretty similar, but the people who supplemented the vitamin C gained less strength. They gained less strength in both the upper and lower body, particularly noted in like the biceps and I think the hamstrings. I think that's where it was noted to be the biggest difference in strength. So they lost strength, and you can extrapolate that out and say, okay, well, in a short-term study, they gain similar amounts of muscle, but if you gain less strength over time, you will gain less muscle because it's understood that progressive overload is what helps you grow. It is progressive overload, progressive workload that you subject the muscles to over time, over months and over years, that gives them growth. And if you're gaining strength more slowly, that should eventually negatively impact your muscle mass. So it will hurt your gains, but we know it hurts your strength. So we've got data on this. That's the only study done, and we might do other studies that are longer term that will show the actual loss of gains from actually supplementing vitamin C. And people start in with, well, but don't we need these things? Yeah, you need these things, but they're really easy to get enough from your food. And everyone who's like, well, people who exercise and work out, they need more vitamins and minerals than other people. And people say things like that. I always have to ask them, where did you get that from? That sounds like something made up to sell you products. Because the truth is, there's no data to back that. Yeah, you need more calories. You even need more protein than someone who doesn't work out. We know that. But needing more vitamin C, more vitamin A, more vitamin D, actually the studies have found that you don't need any more of those things than the average sedentary person does for optimal health, optimal metabolism, everything else. You don't need any more than they do. There's no data that's ever been found to suggest that you do. But here's the thing. The average person, most people aren't deficient in this stuff. Most people are not deficient in any of these things. Why would you be? If you're lifting weights and working out, you probably eat more food than the average person. Your caloric needs are higher. I mean, if you lift weights 3 or 4 days a week, you do 30 minutes of cardio a day, I promise you, you burn a hell of a lot more calories than someone who's sedentary. A hell of a lot more. You need more food than they do. You are automatically, just because of your caloric intake, probably getting more vitamins and minerals than the average person. I mean, isn't that fair to say? If you're eating 30% more food than the people who are sedentary, who aren't necessarily really obese, aren't you getting probably 30% more vitamins and minerals? I mean, this stuff comes from your food. You're probably getting more than they do. Furthermore, most people who work out, most people are concerned with their health. Do they eat the same foods sedentary people do who don't care about this stuff? No. Most people, not everyone, most people who work out generally try to eat a reasonably healthy diet. You might not eat a perfect diet, but you probably eat a fair amount of whole foods. You probably eat some vegetables at least a couple times a week, right? I mean, you probably eat whole foods. You don't sit around eating junk food all day. You're not sitting around eating fast food all day. You don't get 2 meals every day from KFC, right? You're probably eating whole foods, and I don't care what sort of diet approach you take, whether it's the brown rice, chicken, and broccoli most of the time, or a paleo diet or a ketogenic diet or whatever it is that you happen to follow. The thing is, most of these dietary approaches, most people who work out probably eat at least 80% of their calories from whole foods. You're getting a hell of a lot more vitamins and minerals than the average person. And seriously, when's the last time vitamin C deficiency was actually common? With sailors. With sailors in the pre-industrial era. You know the term scurvy dogs? You hear the slang term in pirate movies? Scurvy is vitamin C deficiency. That's actually what it is. The disease scurvy is vitamin D deficiency. It's not saying scurvy is caused by it. Scurvy is the deficiency. That's the disease that develops when you're deficient in it. It's called scurvy. People out on boats who didn't have access to fruits or vegetables for months at a time, were only catching fish and whatever meats and stuff were stored on the boat, developed scurvy eventually. To combat this, like the British Empire and their navies used to collect limes everywhere and try to get limes at every port, all through the Caribbean area and the New Americas and everything. they would get limes whenever possible, and they were always seen eating limes to stave off scurvy, because any citrus fruit has vitamin C in it, and hence the slang term for the Brits, they're called limeys still to this day in a lot of places, including where I live. Sorry, my British friends, you guys know I lived in your country for a few years, but yeah, we call you guys limeys. And it goes all the way back to that time period. So here's what I would say to people. If you're not a Somali pirate, because modern navies, they keep modern food on the boats. They actually have good methods of storing food and storing things that have the vitamins and minerals you need. They have freezers and all sorts of stuff on modern ships. But unless you're a Somali pirate who only comes inland to bring into a port a ship that you've stolen out at sea so that you can make money on it, or you're Jack Sparrow, all right, you probably are not developing a vitamin C deficiency. So if everybody out there most people are getting enough for basic health, most of you out there who are eating a decently clean diet, doesn't even have to be a completely clean diet. I mean, guys, someone who's eating an 80% clean diet, eating mostly whole foods, occasional treat in there, maybe one treat a day. I promise you, if you're eating a large amount of calories because you lift weights and do cardio, and you're eating a mostly clean diet, you probably are already consuming enough vitamin C that you're at your optimal ideal level. I promise you, very, very few people, like 1 in 1,000 people who would fall in that category I just described, would actually even benefit from taking in more vitamin C at all, in any way, health, metabolism, anything. Again, you guys aren't Jack Sparrow or Somali pirates. You're actually eating foods. And I mean, if you're eating some broccoli or spinach or an orange a couple times a week, you're probably getting all the vitamin C that you could possibly benefit from. So this idea of needing to just supplement something like that, just because you think it's good for your health, because myths have told you that it's good for your health or it's going to boost your immune system or stave off colds, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Just eat a balanced diet with plenty of good food in it. Problem solved. You don't need to supplement something that could actually be hurting your gains that you're also having to pay for on top of it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.